We know a ton of you are huge Overwatch fans, and we are grateful for their support of Kinda Funny Live. Thanks again to the Overwatch teams at Blizzard and Activision. Are you excited for Overwatch? If you haven't bought it yet, check out Amazon.com/Overwatch to learn more about the game.
Kinda Funny Live 2 is this Saturday and Sunday. If you haven't got your tickets already, go get them at kindafunny.com/tickets.
All right. As always, final topic of the day brought to you over other Kinda Funny forums. Go to kindafunny.com/gamescast topic. Hold on, again, I need to make a note.
Make a note to Kevin again.
Yeah,
Dear Kevin, it's been 18 minutes since I last talked to you.
Ryan Murawski says, what do you think Rocksteady's up to now? Do you think they'll make a new IP? Good question.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I bet they'll do another licensed game. I think that they saw what worked with Batman. They saw the critical acclaim. They saw the millions of fans, and I think they want to keep going with that. And I'm sure WB is still trying to beat down their door to get them to pick up something. And I'm sure, because that's the thing when you're like, to let them finish their Batman trilogy, ignoring Origins, that wasn't theirs. To let them finish that, I'm sure WB's like, what's next? What do you want to do? Do you want to take on this character? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do a Justice League? Do you want to do Batman Beyond, which was like would be my dream come true, of course. But there's so many different things. But I would still say they're going to be doing a comic book game, a licensed comic book game.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the thing though is that they have a lot of license to do whatever they want now. So
Right.
I'm sure that there are people there that are creative that want to do their own game, but I just don't know that that's the smart move for them. They can build a war chest and like a lot of, as long as they keep doing well, they can build up a lot of acclaim, which I think they lost a little bit of their acclaim with the last Batman game. So I think that
You mean with Arkham Knight?
yeah, I think that a lot of people weren't crazy about that game. And I think that
They weren't crazy about. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that they probably, I think that's why I think they do stay within comic books, is because I think they feel like they have something to prove, and it's not like they're not bad. I mean, the game wasn't bad. It was good. It was just not nearly as good as Arkham.
See, that's what I was going to say. Is I think that they have a bit of an Uncharted syndrome of just like, all right, cool, Arkham City was awesome. Arkham Knight's kind of the same, and there's this tank shit I hate. You know what I mean? It was still like a great game. It's
but unlike Asylum and especially City, I think like that game, like no one even talked about that game after like 2 months. Like it wasn't
because
like,
it was so the same.
Yeah, it was. But I think that like it just wasn't in Game of the Year discussion. It wasn't anything. I think that they have something to prove. I think they overthought that game. I think that it's clear that they felt like they had to change too much, and they didn't have to change much at all to make, because their production value is so high, the writing is so on point. It's just like they need to go back to the drawing board and I think tweak some things, remove some things, tweak that gameplay, which I think is getting a little tired and a little stale. But I think my guess is that it would be like Justice League related. Yeah, I think that they obviously stay with Warner Brothers. They stay with DC. But they could do whatever they want.
I could see him do another Batman game, just a different Batman. You know what I mean? There's so many different versions of Batman in alternate universes. I wouldn't want that. I would much rather see them make a Superman game, see them make a Daredevil game, see them make a Ninja Turtles game. Like there's a million other grounded heroes that fight in an open world that I'd like to see. But I could also see them being like, well, Batman's still fucking the biggest thing going. How do we somehow capitalize on that? Maybe it is just what if we make one in the DC Cinematic Universe? What if we do a Batfleck game?
It would be cool to see Batman again. I think it's selfish of me to want that, because I think,
Don't get me wrong. I'm right there with you.
It'd be cool to see them do Superman too. I think.
No, I agree 100%.
John Horrigan wants to know, what video game characters would you like to see in a crossover game? Not Smash Bros. Type, but story mode centric. A couple years ago, there was a big rumor going into E3, as there ought to be, where a game called Nintendo Fusion was being talked about, and it was going to be Metroid and Star Fox story-based stuff. And I was like, that is fucking awesome. At this point, I do not want that at all. But a couple years ago, I wanted that real bad.
That's the problem, is I feel like it's hard to do that and not have it be super cheeseball or not work. Where fucking Samus is talking to this fox man. What the hell? Like, don't get me wrong, I know there's crazy ass aliens and shit in Metroid, but still, like, you're this cartoon fox and I'm this badass bounty hunter. Like, how are we making this work?
Yeah, I don't really want that stuff. I don't really like that. I like things to kind of exist on their own. That's why I was so well, I don't want to spoil anything. Never.
I love crossovers. I love them a lot. I feel like there's a very special place for them. And you said not Smash type, but like Marvel vs. Capcom to me is always such a special game, just because you get all the characters together. And it's like, I liked even taking out the gameplay of that, and because it is just people together. The stupid story elements they had, not canon, doesn't matter, but just the interactions between all these different characters. I always love that shit. And I think that it is hard to not be cheesy, but it's like if they just kind of own the cheese.
But that's the thing is, embracing that kind of shit makes sense. But I'm sorry for like, for a fighting game for sure. That's why Persona's able to get away with it. That's why Captain like the games you're talking about. But it's just outside of that when it is like, I want to see Lara Croft mashed up with Uncharted. It's like, well, that kind of takes away from both of them. And how are they going to do this? And how's that work?
Oh, see, I'm into that. I love it. But the thing is, I love it at a point. Like I would love that now because I've gotten the Uncharted, I've gotten the Tomb Raiders. I know what those are. I have enough experiences alone where it's like, oh, cool, this is something that could be different. It is, how do they mesh those things? And I always think that it's interesting when there is two lines of canon and you have to kind of cross them over and try to make them make sense together. I don't like it when it's bullshit and they're just like, they come up, oh, it's an alternate universe or whatever. It's like, I like when there is a grounded reason or grounded within the canon of why it all works. That's why the comics right now of Batman
Ninja Turtles. You're gonna bring it up. It's good. It's a great comic.
I think that's a perfect way to do that type of stuff where it's like you read it and it doesn't feel too out of line to be a Ninja Turtle story or to be a Batman story.
Sure,
it does simultaneously feel like both. And I think that the games it's a little harder with because the gameplay needs to also do that as well as the story. But I think that if you take two franchises, like I think Uncharted and Tomb Raider actually is like the perfect example of that. Totally just works. But I think that you can take two franchises' stories, give it a totally new type of gameplay so that people aren't like, comparing it to one side or the other, but it's a new type of game with the story elements of the other two. I think that could really work. And there's a whole bunch of shit that I'd like to see. Maximum Cortez.
Never heard of him.
Andy from Rooster Teeth. He says, what games resulted in the most broken controllers? Crash Team Racing. Back in the PlayStation days when there was that was the game that I got a multi-tap for.
Nice.
So we're talking 4 fucking controllers. And it was an accident. I know you're asking about Rage, but I've never broken a controller out of Rage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've only done it.
No, I have.
Once. I probably broke them more at IGN, I guess. But like the one that always stands out to me is freshman year of college. I'm across the hall in my friend John's room playing WWF SmackDown 2 on PlayStation 1, which was right because it was SmackDown 2, and then just bringing on PS2, I believe. But SmackDown 2. Because like the story with that is like I moved to Mizzou, I didn't know anybody, and one day I shut my door to go to class and I turned the corner and I heard the SmackDown music, like the menu music, and I like went down the hall looking in every room until I found John. I was like, we're gonna be friends. And so we go over there and play, and he always played his created character, Johnny Charisma, who's this high flying little shit. That fucking would get up every time. And he would land these moves and like his, momentum meter would spike. But I was good enough usually to beat it. But there's this one time where I'm sitting on the floor playing him with my PlayStation 1 controller, and he just keeps doing this flip off there and getting up fast enough. And he's storing finishers and stuff. And like I couldn't do anything. And I remember just going fucking slamming it down on the floor. But it was a concrete floor, so I just shattered the base of the controller. Yeah. But then I went on to beat him because I scared him so badly. And the fact that I'm raging in his arm, it was totally worth it.
Yeah, that's funny. For me, so like I said, I never broke it out of Rage, but my fucking friend put the multi-tap on a window and the window was open, didn't know. I forgot exactly how it happened, but we just finished a race and we put the controllers down. The multi-tap falls out the window, pulls all the controllers with it, and all 4 controllers fall like 5 stories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad.
I forgot. Yeah, you're growing up in San Francisco. I'm thinking like a 2nd story house.
Oh, yeah, no. And then 4 controllers.
God,
broke.
That
4 in 1.
That seems like that would have been the perfect time for one of them to act like a grappling hook and like catch the windowsill.
There was it was one of those situations where there were so many ways that could have not happened.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm kind of impressed that it did because like you would think that the multi-tap wouldn't have enough like weight to pull 4 fucking controllers, but I guess it did. They were just the original PlayStation.
Sure,
controllers.
no dual.
So it didn't have the dual stick. So
dual stick.
Yeah, but do you ever break a controller, Colin?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, organically would break them playing games like Dreamcast controllers are really flimsy. So I've talked about how Crazy Taxi we broke controllers, but the last game I broke a controller out of rage for was I think Heavenly Sword. And that was one of the 6-axis controllers had no girth, and I just smashed it on my desk, and I broke it. But I always remembered throwing controllers when I was a kid, which was like a funny thing, and it was funny on the NES and SNES because they were attached to the system, so like you would just throw your controller and the game would like reset. I remember just like walking away from games that were just like blinking like gray, and you just like walk like fuck this game, just to keep it like that for hours or whatever.
Yeah, I was like that's your punishment game. Yeah, exactly. That's what you get for being a dick.
Michael Barbosa says, what are some of your favorite old games that you'd want to play in a Let's Play? My God. That list for me is so long.
it's
I
an
literally,
extensive list.
I have documents of like games that I hope to one day let's play. It's just, let's plays are just so not a focus for us, and it gets hard to kind of prioritize that stuff.
Let alone to bring in something old and try to figure out how to make it work and get all this stuff working.
Yeah, and that's the other problem. Is like early on we did a bunch of old ones, and then our little converter thing stopped
Exactly.
working, and it was like fuck. But I definitely like the first Ninja Turtles on NES
Yeah, I
was
love
the
that
game that broke the camel's back when it came to us doing the things because we couldn't get it to fucking work.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've always wanted to do that. There's so many PlayStation games that I want to do. I need Crash 2. I need to beat Crash 2 and 3. I want to do full plays of those. And then it's just hard to figure out a good way to cover old games. Like, what is the best Let's Play of an old game? Because most people want the whole game, but that's hard to make the content worth doing for the amount of views that gets. So it's kind of like figuring out the right equation to making it fun, making it entertaining, but also making it worth doing. Because yeah, if it was obviously worth doing, that's all I would do. It's just play old games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Greg, talking to you.
Let's see
Your eardrum.
how long we've been going.
I like you a lot. I'm glad you're-
We'll do a couple more questions. Ryan Varel says, "Why can't a company like Disney succeed in the video game industry?"
They're just not specialized enough, I don't think. I think you have to be all in. I mean, when you think about the companies, the publishers that do succeed, they're publishers of video games. They don't do other things. You know, like Activision doesn't do anything else. EA doesn't do anything else. Obviously, these companies diversify in some ways, but video game industry is a unique beast, and you have to have specialty in doing that. And Disney hemorrhaged a lot of money, so it's just not for everyone. And I don't think that I think that there are some mid-sized publishers that are still probably not long for this world. So I don't think it's a safe space for a lot of companies to be in. That's my opinion.
No, I mean, we did a whole topic about it, right? I think it's also just Disney being smart and coming to that realization that we could be doing other things, and we are really good at other things, and we should do those things and partnering with people who do these video games really well.
Yeah, very smart. Zachary Hood says, "How can I find friends through gaming?" I mean, I think the easiest answer, and I think a very, very, very effective answer, is forums.
Kindoffunny.com/forums.
Yeah, there you go. But it's like there is such a community. Those people are there to be friends, to have conversations about games. I think it's easier to find friends through gaming when it's not actually through the gaming. Having said that, Alfredo is very, very obviously into multiplayer games. And the amount of real life friendships that he's formed over the last 15 years that I've known him through playing games with people, it's crazy. Like the crews that he runs with and the teams that he runs with, like those are his people. And I think it's really cool and awesome that like I'll be down all over the fucking country for events we're doing. Like we were in Texas for SGC last year, or when we're at E3 or whatever. People will come up to me and be like, "Tim, hey, like I'm Alfredo's friend. I'm on his team, whatever." And it's like, that's just,
You're lying. Get away from me.
They're local to that place, and I think that it's cool that because of the internet, you can kind of have friends anywhere you want.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. George Barrett says, "How many generations of consoles do you see HD remasters continuing
Oh,
to?"
God, that's a great question.
Forever.
Yeah, forever in perpetuity. I mean, they won't be called HD remasters. Now they'll be called collections because these games are already in HD.
Do you think it'll be though? Like, I guess it'll be that on PlayStation 5, right? We'll get all of the Batmans. That's how they'll go around to doing it. We'll get Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum.
Maybe.
Arkham
I
Origin.
think that we might advance so far in the next 5 to 10 years that some of these games just might not belong, might not belong on these consoles because they might just not look good anymore. It's the way we almost feel about like, why isn't there a Crash Bandicoot collection? It's like, because like those games look like garbage, and they
play like garbage too.
and it's not it's an N64
Story's
PS1
garbage.
era polygonal games just don't look right anymore. So those games aren't good to re-release. I mean, with rare exception, we saw Final Fantasy VII, for instance, come to PS4, and it looks like shit. But like it is what it is. So I wonder if we'll have the similar lens. Look at the old games in a similar lens. But I don't think so, because a lot of these games have a lot of artistic direction and style.
Yeah.
As opposed to just putting like polygons together.
I hope if it's going to keep going, it's just one generation back. Of, hey, there's this new console and you're buying it. Did you know you missed these games on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One? So on the next one, you get those. Because that seems like what the majority of them are nowadays, right? With the exception of a PS2 Classic.
Yeah, there's
or
things
whatever.
every now and then. But I think that it's less about they won't be HD remasters, obviously, because of what Colin said. But I think that it's less going to be about the graphics or whatever, but it's going to be more about what do the new consoles offer that these don't. And like that's when you look back, that's all that reiterations of games are. When you look at now it's not even HD remasters when we're talking about the PS3 to PS4 jump. It's just
Here's a collection.
definitive edition.
Yeah, games.
But not even a collection. Last of Us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things like that. I think that's just going to be the norm. And like, I think it's a good thing overall. It sucks that, like if you have to buy it twice, but you don't have to buy it twice.
I feel like they've taken their foot off the gas a bit. For a while there, it was like, what the fuck are you doing? And now it is like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Sure, why not? Like, as development cycles get longer and longer, companies and publishers need to worry about making money and keeping everybody going in a business. So it makes sense for WB, who doesn't have an Arkham Knight this year, to say, all right, cool, let's put out the other 2 Arkham games. Since people like those, want to play them again, here you go.
Yeah, I think it's like a easy way to kind of fill the void that like things like Fallout New Vegas and stuff like that did before, where it's just like, here, let's keep the brand in people's conversations and all that stuff. Final question of the day comes from Taylor. Now, and back at IGN, when you get early/review copies, are they retail? Do they have their own special box, or do they come in a bland secret box? Depends.
Nowadays, it's codes. The industry's changed mostly to where you just get codes for games, and that's on retail. It's running on retail. Part of it, I don't know if it was this shift of this generation as much as it was our shift as well, but it seems like it's always retail. It's rare nowadays, correct me if I'm wrong, for us to really be getting debug PS4 builds. If you're getting that, it's like, hey, this game's
a debug version of a game the entire time we've been doing.
This game's 6 months out, so here's a build to go play like 3 levels of or whatever. I think that that wasn't even when we did the Ratchet and Clank Let's Play before it came out 3 months ago. That was a code on retail that they uploaded. They uploaded that stuff to retail so it would work. Because at IGN back in the day when I started and it was working PlayStation 2 stuff and the PlayStation reviews, you got burned CDs and DVDs all the time, or DVDs all the time. And then PlayStation 3 was the same thing. And those just arrived, a plain old gem case and a burned disc in there with something written in Sharpie on what it was. And then now it just feels like discs are pressed so early. Discs are, or games are, if you want it to get reviewed, are uploaded so early that you're just getting the retail experience.
Yeah, I think for the retail games that we do get, usually for me it's been Nintendo games, it is hit or miss, where it does sometimes just come in a bland box. Like it'll be the retail disc, but it's not actually in the box. It'll be more like some weird white box that's really nondescript or whatever. But yeah, they're usually retail games completely. So this topic brought to you by Total War Warhammer. What is Total War Warhammer? It's a fantasy strategy game of legendary proportions. It combines an addictive turn-based campaign of conquest and empire building with explosive, colossal real-time battles, all set in the vivid and incredible world of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. It's the perfect match. It's a marriage made in gaming heaven. We're talking a fantasy world of perpetual war and massive battles that you'd find in Warhammer, mixed with the critically acclaimed epic scale and conquest-based strategy games of Total War. Total War plus Warhammer equals a gorgeous high fantasy world of perpetual war and conquest on a colossal scale, brought to life in hours and hours of gripping strategy gameplay. Epic fantasy Total War style. No one's done Warhammer or indeed fantasy like this before. From the personal skills of your characters to 20,000 roaring orcs, no fantasy strategy game is this big and detailed. As a fantasy spectacle, it is unmatched. If you're a PC gamer and not involved, you're missing out. Factions that all feel and play very differently. Each race is wholly different with their own unique characters, campaign mechanics, battlefield units, and play style. So if you're interested in this, go over to PC, Steam, all that stuff, 5/24/2016. That's, by the time you're listening to this, probably going to be that. So it'll be out.
Yeah.
You can check that shit out.
Unless you're over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames supporting us, and we thank you very much for that.
Yeah, then you can just get ready. Prepare your bodies.
Prepare your bodies for Total War.
Bye.
Cool.